catch your team doing things right. Don't just catch them doing things wrong, right? If the only interaction between your management and your team is you chastising them for not getting back to clients fast enough, that's going to breed some really negative morale.
I hear that from my wife about my kid. We got to tell them what they're doing right, not just what they're doing wrong.
Welcome back to Firm Factor, everyone. Today, we're starting out with knowing your customer and customer experiences. Now, if you're aware, in the last couple of weeks, Starlink, the wireless communications company, reached out to Ryanair, Europe's largest airline, a short-haul, low-cost airline, not unlike Spirit Airlines for those familiar, and offered putting Starlink on all of their planes, Wi-Fi. Basically, satellite communications is how airlines have in-flight Wi-Fi. Now, the CEO, Michael O'Leary of Ryanair Airlines, rejected the offer. Now, O'Leary's math, it would cost about $250 million a year, and passengers wouldn't pay for Wi-Fi anyways. Why? Because this is a customer experience 101 issue. Know the profile of your buyer.
Yeah, Ryanair people don't want extra stuff. They want less stuff. They want it simpler and it's just like Spirit.
Yeah, Ryanair passengers won't pay extra for Wi-Fi on a 2-hour flight. They want £19 or €19 tickets. Building a great experience means doubling down on what makes you different from someone else, sometimes by turning down impressive but irrelevant features on your core offering. Now, for law firms, know your lane and invest in what clients actually value. Resist matching big law on dimensions that don't matter to your market. The solo practitioner who returns calls same day and quotes flat fees beats the downtown firm with the glass conference room every single time if that's what your clients are looking for. And I just wanted to bring us in, Darren, and talk a little bit more about this phenomenon because focusing in on a specific profile is exactly what law firms who excel do. Because marketing brings in the clients, but operations and being picky about who you serve keeps and retains them, which is the other part of the coin that no one ever talks about.
I think it's a key part of it. I think it's underappreciated. It's good to see you. I think I identify what your clients, potential clients want, what they value, and give that to them. Right? It's critical that the customer experience is positive, and I think a lot of firms underestimate the importance of that to the detriment of their revenue.
My observation is that most law firms operate under two delusions: either they think they're delivering exceptional service, or they think service doesn't matter at all, right? And clients usually have this immensely frustrating experience, both trying to connect with law firms and then doubly so working with them in the long run. It's so hard to find. For example, even I'm victim to this as being an insider in this industry. It is so hard to find a good business attorney. So difficult. And it's not that, to be clear, I'm not saying business attorneys are bad at their work product is bad. But what has made it so difficult for us to find a good business attorney is the experience of working with them has just had so much friction or was so slow that we're just we don't care how good your output is. We cannot stay.
Well, look, there's no question. I think you said it before that either they think it's great or they don't think it's important. In my experience over the last 15 years, at least with the small to medium-sized law firms we work with, it's the latter. They think it's not important, right? They do the good work. That's what matters. It's a professional service. The clients got what they needed, and it's a transaction. Yeah. And that's not the way people experience services these days, and more. Right? It's about the experience. They're expecting something, unless it's super cheap. If it's Spirit Air, you're not expecting frills. If it's, business class, where's my peanuts?
Well, and so often I have seen family law clients come to our office and be like, yeah, I hired this other firm and then just no one contacted me.
Well, of course.
Right. And that's the other issue is that the front end is decent or tolerable. And then they hand them over to the litigation team on the back end, and then the back of house just falls off a cliff. No one reaches out to them. Now, according to 2025 industry research, 72% of attorneys say their firm is customer centric, while only 40% of clients would agree with that statement. And
Yeah.
just 21% of clients said that they felt reassured that their legal team cared about their experience or asked for any feedback at all, which is quite a stunning gap between market demand
That
and
doesn't
market
surprise me
proviso. Yeah.
to hear that. I didn't see that report, but I'm not surprised to hear that aligns with things.
How many law firms that you work with like are good at answering the phone? Because it's that's something I hear all the time. Is like I could not even reach anyone, even at the front desk. Like people are
Yeah.
like, "We're working with you because you're the only one who called us."
This is something, look, this is something that I am passionate about. I think any professional services company and law firms in particular should shift to a customer first mindset, right? Because I think the mindset is the issue, right? It's not a technology problem. This is not that they're not communicating correctly. This is that they're thinking that their legal expertise is enough. And it used to be, there was like the lawyer in the town and, Bedford Falls and the guy did the thing. But now there's thousands of people and they're all online and there's people everywhere and people are looking at reviews and experiences and of other people and new prospects. They might go to 2 or 3 different firms. They're not just going to you alone. They did a search or they got referrals, whatever it is. Experience is everything, right? That customer experience and how they enter and how they perceive your firm is going to be determined by the way they are treated, right? And I think it's the most critical thing to shift to thinking about not practice first, but customer first if you want to grow and be successful.
I mean, because like the billable hour, I think is to blame for this,
100%.
right? Because it builds an incentive model where you don't necessarily care about how well the work is done or how it's experienced. You just care about the volume, in theory, right?
Yeah,
It's the
look, I would
volume
like to say that, in my experience, my clients over the years, and we've worked with thousands of law firms, the people all care about their work.
Yep.
The people all try to do good work in usually, right? What they don't often do enough of is thinking about how the experience feels and what it's like to hire their business. They think of themselves outside the normal sort of business loop of everything we do. Think about all the surveys we get and all this stuff. And what's your, I get 5 emails a day asking about my experience at the hotel I was at last week and about this and how was this restaurant and stuff. And I think there's this mindset that that's for retail businesses somehow. It's not for professional services. Yeah, but my dentist does it. The hospital doctor does it.
Our process server does it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
law firms are not above this.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't exist in a vacuum. There's other people, and most people are going to hire the nice guys.
Yep.
Just
Or
goes without saying.
And what's so interesting is because for me, this comes from a place of like the best way I can say it is that if you seem too expensive to the market, it's because you as a law firm, as a professional, is not making the pitch about certainty of outcome. And when I say certainty of outcome, everyone like flees for the hills because they think I'm promising outcomes in a legal matter. Not what I'm talking about, right? People don't assess rationally, right? They don't assess based on the perfect consumer of maximum utility, minimum cost by ratio. They say, does this guy care about me? Will he fight for me? Does he listen to what I need? Does he understand my objectives? And the number one way you signal that is responsiveness and experience.
Totally.
And so if you're having trouble finding clients, it may not even be about your experience. It's just like, hey, it took 2 weeks to get on the phone with you. You clearly don't care about anything that's going on here. I'm going to go to the guy who may be a worse attorney, but a better customer service agent.
Yeah, I think the whole experience of first contact with the firm needs to be looked at, and every aspect of it, and look for areas of improvement. Obviously, the phone, as you mentioned, is critical. Like I've been preaching this for 15 years. We can make your phone ring, but we can't make you answer it,
Yeah.
right? You got to pick up the phone, and you got to pick it up with a smile, right? And you got to
Our
make this.
success KPI here at Hemet Law is sub half hour. So business half hour. If we exceed that, we are no longer hitting our minimums. People will tell you an hour. I say that's too slow, particularly in the era of texting. This is why texting is so important to us. Because if we aren't able to get in touch with you in the way you communicate, which in the modern era, let's be honest, I don't know about you guys, but I don't pick up my phone most of the time.
Right.
I text people, I DM people, I message people, and most of our
Right.
clients reflect that, even the older ones. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. I'm old. I pick up the phone to call, but I'm Gen X. We use the phone. But yeah, look, this is a big problem that too many law firms do not deal with. You must answer the phone. It's crazy. Even if it's a receptionist service, there's a lot of good ones. Somebody answers the phone and gets that information. I'm talking about new prospects, not your clients calling. That's another matter of responsiveness, and that's important too. But I'm talking about people coming in and finding the firm, right? I'm constantly amazed or disappointed, I guess, when I see bad reviews for clients that we have to deal with that are about the intake process. I called and the guy was rude, or I called and they did this. They never even hired the firm.
Yep.
And they went and wrote a review. You got to have a pretty bad experience to not hire somebody and go home and write a review. First impressions. I mean, I always preach it.
I always think the impact of support staff is underappreciated. That's why we left
totally.
our most recent business attorney was not because of the attorneys. Attorneys were lovely. It was because their staff were so difficult to work with.
Oh yeah.
Their
Totally.
accounting department was actually just straight up disrespect. And it wasn't, again, nothing to do with the attorneys or their work output. We were just like, we just cannot work with the staff that you guys have on file.
Listen, I think it's truism, I guess, but you come for the food, you come back for the service.
Yeah.
The second time you're there, the experience is key. You are back there to have this experience again. Yeah, the food was good, but if it was an hour late, it doesn't matter. If you were seated next to the bathroom, it doesn't, whatever it might be, like your experience at that place is dependent on, the actual experience of what you took away and how it felt, right? Sure. Listen, let's take something that's more simple. You're talking about family law. Okay. The more experienced, the more skilled the attorney, maybe the better outcome, the better chance of success. But let's look at something like an estate planning attorney or a bankruptcy attorney or something that's a process, right? I'm not saying estate planning is not complicated. It's complicated area. There's all kinds of tax and legal and all kinds of complexities. So I'm not underestimating, but it's pretty straightforward process, right? So is, say, a bankruptcy. But the experience of that can be wildly different. You can feel bad about having to get a bankruptcy, or you can feel okay. Look, at least I got this guy taking care of me, and hey, don't worry, I've done thousands of these, buddy, and you're going to be great.
Yep.
It's so little, but it's the work itself is not enough.
We'll be right back. Support for the show comes from Time. Time captures every billable email on cases and turns them into client-friendly time entry descriptions completely hands-free. No more lost time, no more pre-billing reviews, just up to 30% more revenue. Get a free demo at thyme.org/factor. That's time.org/factor. Thanks for your patience. Welcome back.
I was looking at a report recently. There was a Clio study last year. Only 40% of the firms studied answered phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
40%.
Yep.
60% of them just leave that money on the table. Here's key. In 5 years, that got worse. It was 56% in 2019. It was 40% in 2024. That's a big drop, right? 16%, right? That's 30% of what it was, right? Of a drop. So, they don't answer emails. Only a third of them answered emails. In 2019, I think it was 40%. And almost half, 48% of them were essentially unreachable by phone.
Here's the interesting nuance there, because that trend is correct.
Insane.
It's incredibly difficult to reach law firms, but during that time, here's what I think people ignore when they hear that statistic. It has also gotten a lot easier to find law firms, right?
Sure.
It is, the information access has overall improved. Now, say what you will about what those tools mean for society, but information access has drastically
and to
improved.
find information about legal issues.
Yep, that
right?
too.
So people will do a lot more research, and obviously now with AI, people are going to do more and more research. Eventually, though, you got to pull the trigger and get some guy, gal to do the work and represent you. Look, all I'm saying is you got to have somebody answer the phone, right? I would say, right? I would say of our clients overall, right? And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of calls going through. I would say at least 10% of them, if not 15% of them, are unanswered. Now, that's below the statistics you were talking about, but remember, my clients have hired a marketing agency to bring them leads. These are expensive. They're more aware of it. If they don't answer it, I call up and give them a hard time. So it's not the industry standard. Yep. But even my clients that are spending thousands of dollars for very expensive prospects, right? They're not answering it. Mm-hmm. You can get an answering service for $100 a month, right? If you're only getting a few phone calls, like it's a no-brainer, and it floors me that people are leaving. Somebody calls at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and they get a voicemail. They're gonna hire the guy that answers. I would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I would.
Who's going to leave a message?
I would hire the guy that answers. I mean, in the modern era, there's no reason you even should be using your answering machine. We either pick up every phone call that comes in, or if for some reason our lines are full or it's after hours, it goes to an answering service that's 24/7.
Right.
I think
same with mine. We have in-person staff that answer it. If they go to lunch, they trigger it. After hours, holidays, it goes to answering service. I have to say I used to use an answering service. The quality's gone down.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced that as well. Like, it's not as good anymore. It won't be long before an AI robot can answer the phone efficiently. If an AI could do it better, why do I care? If I'm calling up an airline or the phone company or something, if somebody can answer the phone right away who can help me and I don't have to spend 45 minutes on hold. It's much more complicated in the legal industry with intakes, but you can do full, I know the company you use, you can do full different intake scripts and all kinds of automation and stuff, and they'll do it for you.
Yeah. I mean, anyway. And I personally, I have less invested in this market, so I won't hide the ball here. We use Smith.ai. We've used Lex Reception. We've used Ruby Receptionist. We've used Backroom Betties. Those are all legal, at least legal adjacent answering services.
Well, Ruby is like 70% legal. I know the woman that started that. We've used Ruby Receptionist for 12 years. So, and still do. Mm-hmm. But it was better when it was all US based.
It's hit and miss the industry, the answering service industry overall, because as more and more and more proliferate, it becomes a race to the bottom to compete on price. That puts pressure, and eventually
it's commoditized.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is go overseas.
I think with everything, it's the same business, and we look at service industry, right? Either you race to the bottom or you race to the top and you're the most expensive elite, or you try to find some space in the middle called value, which is where we try to live, right? We're certainly not the cheapest digital marketing company, but we're also not the most expensive, right? We like to think of ourselves as like the Lexus, right? We're just the best value, but we're not cheap. We're for people that are serious, but not frivolous, right? There's no wasted fluff. But you want a good value for your dollar. I mean, you can speak to that. I mean, do you think do you think we sort of hit that lane?
I mean,
We're sort of middle luxury.
I think for most of your clients, yes, but I didn't want to opine on that without being prompted, because we have a very special,
Yeah.
Hammett Law and Legal Rev have a very special dynamic. I work with members of your team that I think you would be comfortable saying are not usually client facing or not often client facing.
Yeah, no, you work with, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
Okay,
and
but
so
you
I
were
think
with us for, say, a year before we got more deeply involved. So that first experience.
and that was interesting because we kept working with you because not because necessarily we never focused on the price. We always focused on outcomes, right? And so when someone comes to me and they're like, John, we have this problem, it'll cost this, what's your budget to solve it? Right? What's your budget? And I'm like, that's the wrong question. Tell me about the certainty of outcome and the value of solving this problem to the business, right? And you guys all were really good at catching up on that quickly, because a lot of the times we worked with other marketing companies before. I hated that experience. I won't go too, that's for another episode, but we worked with other marketing, and they would always come to us and say, what's your budget? And then I'm like, well, I want this problem solved. What's your analysis? And I'll give you the money for that. And they were clearly just looking to charge me more money, because that's why they always started with the budget, and they never wanted to talk about it.
Also, I mean, if somebody gives you a budget, they're telling you how much they want to spend. We generally, as a rule, we try to ask people what they want to accomplish and how quickly.
Yep.
Right. There's an old, as you know, I come from film production. I spent 15 years working in film production in Los Angeles. A key adage of the film industry is good, fast, cheap, pick two. You can't do all three. You can be good and cheap, takes longer. You can be good and fast, expensive, right? You can be, mediocre and cheap, right? But it's cheap. Or you can be, so I think it's important to understand, what are you as a firm? Who do you want to be to your clients? Do you, are you a hands-off, very clinical, you do your work and we treat each other respectfully? That's okay, as long as you're professionally responsive.
Yep.
Or we're warm and fuzzy and we send you greeting cards and a news and we're all in this together and we're here for you. Fine. Still got to answer emails. Either way, responsiveness is what it's about. And it's honestly, it's not that hard to do, right? That's, I think the issues with communication between, I would say many of my clients, and I know a lot of them are working to improve it. It's hard because they're legacy models, I guess, the sort of standard practice. But the most expensive problems sometimes are easy to ignore right under your nose. And it's about communication and creating consistency and responsiveness and letting people know what's going on, even if it's just updates, right? You can go to MailChimp and spend $15 a month and just set up a campaign that says, hey, just letting you know, we're still hard at work. We'll give you an update. People just want to know. Look, you know this. I tell this from my personal experience. My clients, they want to know, hey, just stuff's going, right? Yeah, it's going. We're at this stage. We're moving forward. I'll let you know when we need this, but just want you to know we're moving along. We like to be proactive about giving consistent updates to our clients so they know things are moving. Because we're not on an hourly rate in the same way, but we essentially are bundled hours worked, retainer hours worked. So, we're spending those resources, and where do we spend them and how do we do them? And anyway, so I think it doesn't have to be hard.
Yep.
You can have your paralegal send out an email once a month, once every 2 weeks. You can set it up. It can be a template,
particularly for models that rely on ongoing relationships, like business attorneys, right?
Well, that's a whole other thing. Now that's I was thinking more about you. Somebody's got whatever, a patrimony case. It might take 6 months or a year, right? Some of these adoption might take a long time to go through.
Yep.
What's happening? Nothing. We're still waiting for those people to get back to us. They'd rather get a note saying, hey, just letting you know we're thinking about you. We're still waiting on stuff, but we'll keep you updated.
Yep. We have what we do specifically is we either have a weekly email, and we want to build infrastructure to get a weekly text that reads all the emails we've sent and received on their matter.
Oh, that's a great idea.
The AI will just say, hey, it won't give legal advice.
It'll
just say, hey, this is what's going on. Text, let us know if you have any questions. Any reply sent will go to the human.
I love it. Hemet Law is like my lab. You guys are like always doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, cool. I want to see how that works, right? We're doing the direct mail thing and like all this other stuff. Anyway.
Like and follow the show if you're enjoying it, and we'll be right back. Support for the show comes from LegalRev. They don't just market law firms, they grow them. With smart SEO, Google Ads, web design, and AI-ready search strategies, they make sure your next client finds you first. If you're ready to win online, go to legalrev.com/factor. That's legalrev.com/factor. And now to continue the conversation. Darren, I wanted to ask a pretty sensitive question that's right now, Hemet Law does not have any pricing information on our website, other than, hey, it's going to vary. Because for us, we're a litigation team. It depends on circumstances. It's just not realistic. We can't even put our hourly rates up there. In our opinion, it'll scare people away before they have the information to make an informed decision. And that is the conclusion almost all of our competitors have also come to, unless they're, a flat rate, no
I
contest
have to agree.
office.
I think unless your point is your price. I mean, we don't lead with pricing. When we were early on, we were a different kind of a company offering a more simple service. It was a simple one price. Now it's bespoke, it's custom, it's hard to give pricing. And yes, we don't want to scare people away, by look, our average client spends this much. Well, I can't do that. Well, yeah, but they've been with us for 8 years and we work with them, so I think it's hard to say, but I really have no actual experience or strong opinion on it for law firms. I've never seen it. I know flat fee. I've got a few clients that do like $1,000 flat fee divorce, or flat fee bankruptcy, or flat fee something. Okay, but that's different.
Yeah, because that's almost like a, I don't want to say a software service, but that's almost like a plug and play shopping cart deal. You're not really you're hiring the oversight. You're not hiring the litigation.
I can speak about this from experience. I work with a lot of different hourly contractors and services, from accountants to, we have multiple attorneys, and then all kinds of different freelance contractors that do different things, coders and stuff. And somebody's, and the difference between somebody being $100 an hour or $300 an hour, it's all relative, right? So this idea of like, the lawyer's $300 an hour, $700 an hour. Well, but maybe the $700 guy can do it in an hour, and the $300 guy will take 4.
Yeah.
So, an experienced designer that I pay $150 an hour to, like a high-end designer, can work sometimes more than twice as fast and efficiently as the $75 an hour guy.
Yep.
So it's not about price, it's about outcome. Are you going to get, so what if it's $300 an hour? How much is it going to be for the divorce? Right? Like hourly, what does that mean? Are you going to do 1,000 hours or 100 hours? So I think an idea of a range of what these typically cost, but you guys have that kind of a stuff, budget calculator, right? Like you could say, like an average adoption will cost you $15,000 to $25,000 or something like that. That's okay. That's sharing experience. But to say like your adoption will be $400 an hour, well, how do you quantify that? How many hours? What are we talking about? I don't
What
have any
what's
concept
interesting
of.
what's interesting is that like we do have an attorney fee calculator on the website, but the variance is so high that we only provide that information as like to make people feel better, right?
That's what
Because
I'm saying. That's where I
yeah,
think it. That's where I think it ends.
yeah. Well,
For
because
me,
like for
that's
us, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, we won't tell people how much the matter will cost, but we'll tell them if they inquire specifically with a real human after they've entered our funnel. We say, hey, it usually costs between $3,000 and $6,000 deposit just to bring us on board. Is that
Mhm.
within your budget range? And the reason we're asking is because we just want to make sure that the client is ready to hear that at the
That's
consult.
completely different experience. That's on
Yeah,
the intake, being upfront with people and transparent about the cost. That's not on the website
yeah,
talking about the actual fee. But I think, a range of fees, sure. Ideas of costs, no problem. What can we expect? Timelines, all of these are subject to change and specifics, but here's an idea. But again, those are for information, not uh I just can't imagine hiring an attorney based on the hourly rate,
yeah. Well, I
right?
mean, but the difference is that like you and I know that, but like explaining that to a mother in crisis for us is pretty tough because we're like, well, we'd have to know about your circumstances and we'd have to know about the character of the other party, which in family law is particularly important, and
Mhm.
we'd have to learn all about you and your story before, and so like that's a glaring obvious matter for you and I. But I would argue that like most people, they're just panicking and they're looking for someone to help them, and they think all attorneys above a certain caliber are the same as long as there's no negative signals when hiring them. And
Uh-huh.
so they do look to the hourly price, which is why a lot of our website is dedicated to destroying that myth, right? Because you hire an attorney for $200 an hour and they work 4 times slower
Well,
than the
that was
attorney
my
for
point,
600.
right?
You know,
I
exactly.
it's about the outcome. I'm not even 100% sure that I I would wager a guess that 50% of the people, if you ask them on the street, they don't know how lawyers are paid.
Yep. Right. Yep.
Hourly, schmourly. I mean, it's a retainer. I'm not tracking my attorneys. I just they send me a bill. It's what it is. I do want to know how much a matter is going to cost. Like we did a whole, back in COVID, me and everybody else, they did my whole estate planning, living trust, all this stuff. And I don't care what their hourly rate is. What's it going to cost me to get this whole thing done? Okay.
Yep.
Will take 3 hours, take 50. I'll pay you this much. Now, obviously, an ongoing thing like family law is different. I think people are looking first and foremost look, there's a difference between, elite and, affordable. You can say, look, we're a family law firm. We work with high net worth individuals. And so, okay, that's a different uh, front, right? That's a different experience for people. As look, we are affordable. We believe in affordability and finding the cheapest solutions. It's how you promote yourself as opposed to whether you put your pricing there,
Hmm.
right? Do you put a quote from, a testimonial from somebody about how great and affordable it was? Or, I mean, so it's about how do you promote yourself? Are you a low cost airline, or are you a premium experience?
Yep. I
People
mean,
want both. There's just
if
different
you
demographic. Know your market. It goes back to the Ryanair thing.
and I think lawyers, they hear this and they think that like they have this huge gulf of quality to climb. It's about they focus on the lawyering, right? I say you don't actually need to be for when you're serving high complex wealthy clients like Hemet Law serves on average.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we don't have to actually per se sell a higher quality output. We just have to deliver the same output as everyone else faster because their time is what they value more than anything else. Now that doesn't mean we don't aim for quality, but
Sure.
if we have to only choose one, it's always speed, right? Because that's what the rich on average, and to use the pejorative, is the money is the least valuable thing they have. Their time is far more valuable. But that's a lesson we take because that's our clientele. If you sell to lower income communities, what you want to sell them is certainty, right? That you want to sell them flat rates. You want to sell them timelines. You want to give them exactly what they're looking for.
Look, and I think there's an expectation of quality of service dependent on the demographic, depending on the experience. High net worth individuals going through a legal matter with you are used to good service at the nice restaurant, at the club, at their whatever, in their job, from their associates, from their bank, from, they're used to being treated a certain way. And, I think you may underestimate how much you've done to make that customer experience a positive one for them. Yeah, they want speed, but they want it to be polite, respectful, responsive speed.
Yep.
Right? I think there's a much, much higher standard of customer service on the higher end.
Yep.
Right? You don't complain if you go to Spirit Airlines and there's a line. But if you bought a first class ticket on whatever and they've closed the first class line, people are going to get mad.
And you know what's so interesting about Spirit Airlines is that they actually have a tremendous safety record. Everyone thinks the wings are falling off of those planes. Spirit Airlines, to use that example, is the only major airline carrier in the U.S. that has never had a hull loss.
Well, and Southwest is super safe as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Southwest was the first.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other guys took it, which is a reminder that you don't have to be first. You just have to do it well. Southwest is struggling.
I love being the second or third mover. I never want to be first, right? Second or third mover is always the best place to be because you watch the first lemming fall off the cliff and you see what rocks he hits on the way down, and you go second or third to avoid them, and you still get 80% of the value of the early action.
Pretty well for Apple.
Oh yeah, rest in peace BlackBerry for sure. That's I mean,
Facebook,
same with
Google,
Xerox.
None of these were first. Yeah, none of these were first.
Cookies.
Yeah, they were all.
Oreo is a copycat. There was an early. It was seriously called Xerox. I don't know why they were called that, but then Oreo came along and copied them and took over their market, and now Xerox sounds like a cleaning agent.
That's funny.
Isn't that crazy? Right? Exactly. But being the first is usually not optimal over the long run. Being the second or the third, maybe the fourth, gets you the lion's share of the value for your shareholders with minimizing downside risk.
Oh, of course. The trash heap of history is filled with MySpace and Friendster and Netscape and all the other things, BlackBerry, all the other things that were first.
Darren, I think now's a good time to go into a quick lightning round of quick wins every law firm needs to look at. So I will lead us off by saying set expectations at intake, guys. It's so important. Give the client a timeline, introduce them to their team, and tell them how to reach you and what the communication protocols are. Be explicit. Note that, as Darren has said many times during this interview, there is no news, and that is news itself. Clients have no experience on average with the legal industry, legal system. They get nervous and they're scared, irrational actors. It is highly, highly unusual for something life-altering or high stakes to be happening and a client not invested in making sure nothing's going on behind their back. Silence breeds anxiety in clients, so send no updates. Tell them there's no news. And then 3, put pricing guidance on your website, but only if it makes sense for your practice area. And if it doesn't make sense for your practice area, I would say put information about why it doesn't make sense. Tell the clients that. That's what Hemet Law does. All over our website is that hey, we can't share information. We have a page. What will your legal matter cost? And the headline is, we don't know, and no one else does either. Right? Clients are very receptive to that because they want to know what the challenges are, and we use it as a pivot point to say, but talk to us and we can tell you, because we need to learn more about your matter before we can help you out. And third and fourth, I'd say accept card payments and communications in the same way that your clients do. So for us, we text, we use Google Pay, we use Apple Pay, we use all of these platforms that make us accessible. That's why it's important. This isn't about finances. This is about familiarity.
Sure.
And by extension, by the same issue, we use Dropbox to manage all our files. Are there more sophisticated systems that we could use to manage
Yeah,
our
Dropbox
files?
works fine. It's safe.
Yep.
It's secure. It's a solid. Everybody knows
Yep.
how to use it. It's easy.
And it's the everyone knows how to use it in particular. I mean, all that other stuff too, but everyone knows how to use it. And
Yeah.
finally, ask for reviews when the experience is positive. And I would also advise catch your team doing things right. Don't just catch them doing things wrong, right? If the only interaction between your management and your team is you chastising them for not getting back to clients fast enough, that's going to breed some really negative morale. And I would argue I keep morale on my admin team super high because enthusiasm is the only way to get you across that last mile to truly exceptional service.
You're right. Listen,
And so,
I hear that from my wife
yeah.
about my kids. We got to tell them what they're doing right, not just what they're doing wrong. You said something I loved. Silence breeds anxiety. And I think it's really true. It's true through all life in all things. It was true in high school, waiting for that girl to call me. You don't know, you don't know what's going on, and your mind just spins, and especially you've got these, complex, highly, sometimes very personal, very, high stakes legal matters that people are involved with. More than anything, they want to know that somebody's thinking about them. Hey, just wanted you to know we're still thinking about you. This is going to take a long time, as we said, but we're human, you're human, and we've got your back. It's so simple. First impressions are the most important thing there is. It defines their experience of you. Make the experience great from the beginning. It's easy. Answer the phone. Answer the phone, or at least call back within an hour. I'm not talking about people calling you all day. I'm talking about people coming in, new prospective clients. Assume they're going to look at a few different people. You got to call them back, right? Send an email back within a day if they send you in the contact form or request. Respond to people. Speed matters. People care. Responsiveness, it tells them how you're going to be responsive in the future. You get back to them in a day, good. Is that the cadence? If it takes a week to get back to me for me to hire you, gosh, how much is it going to be when I'm already stuck in this, right? So show them from the first moment that you care, that their call is critically important, and that you value their time as much as yours. Get somebody to answer the phone.
Never leave them wondering what the next step is either.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I've seen so many law firms be like, yeah, we had a consult and then it went great. And my question was, okay, did you send them your rep letter? And they said, well, they haven't asked. And I'm like, well, congratulations.
That's crazy.
You just lost the lead. Yeah, exactly. Because by the time you send it to them tomorrow, or that's another thing, they're like, we send the rep letter within 5 minutes of you getting us off the phone, right? The minimum amount of time it requires to relay the information from the consult.
And you've got to know these things, right? We talked about doing a challenge for firms. So let's throw out a challenge for people here. Have a mystery shopper contact your firm and ask for information as a prospective client, right?
Yep.
Ask for pricing, ask for the fee structure, what's the process, what's the timeline to get this kind of thing done? How do we book a consultation? How easy is it? How soon can I book that, right? That's it. You track 3 things from this, right? You track the response time, how quickly do people get back? What information was the caller, was the person given from your team? And then how did it feel? What was their experience of it, right? I do this from my company. And sometimes I do it myself. The team now knows and they know my voices. So I have other people do it. But we will call and find out because otherwise you don't know.
Yeah.
Think about this.
Have a friend.
You don't know how people experience your company. I'll tell you this. The firms that do this exercise are the ones who will grow. Mm-hmm. The ones who think they're already doing great, they are part of the 80% of law firms that are bleeding clients, right? Don't be part of that. Be part of the pool of successful people who are proactively growing their business. So that's
Yeah. I mean, I think 73% of prospects, people forget that negative referrals are a thing, right? 73% of prospects wouldn't recommend a firm after their first contact, according to the Clio Trends report. And then questioning whether or not you're in the other 27% in a vacuum is a lot of conjecture. That's what we do is once a month.
if you have to
a friend
ask,
call
you're
the
in that
office.
27%. Let me put it that way, right? If you have to ask, you are, if you don't know that you have a system in place and a process and a clear methodology for putting prospective clients first and having a positive experience, then you're not doing it.
And I think that's a good place to cut it for today, Darren. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on Firm Factor. That was a super engaging conversation. We will be back next week. And if you know someone who needs this, share it. Follow us on all the socials. You know where to find us. Thanks so much.
Yeah, later.